Good morning, Denise Dryden here. Still a little bit of nasally sound, so you're just gonna have to be patient with me. I was down and out last week, so I took the topic of frequency shifting and I moved it over to this week where I was a little bit healthier, and you can still see it, right? And there's still lots of stuff going on. So let's break this down. And what do I mean by frequency shifts? And let's talk about that. So first, I'm Denise Dryden. I do this weekly. This is year 6 of bringing information on a 10 to 12 minute video to you so that you can sort of play with some of the things that I'm discovering and coaching and talking about all the time, which is, what happens when our world changes, right? So when I look up frequency, it's a number of occurrences of a repeating event per unit. It's like something you can count, like, it's got a rhythm, it's got a pattern to it. It's something that we research, right? It's a condition or a fact that occurs frequently. It is measured. And so we can measure frequency by hertz, by electrical currents. The bottom line is that they're invisible and they're influenced by energy. So those of us that are sensitive, those of us that are empathic, those of us that have highly attuned body systems, whether we want them or not, are going to respond to any shifts in frequency. It makes sense, right? Anything that happens, it's going to come and go like, oh, wait a minute, there's something going on. So ways that I see shifts, and because I've been an energy reader and an empathically aware human since I was a little girl, is that, I like to be out, especially up here in Montana, on these beautiful high mountain lakes, and then sort of watch the ripples start on one end of the lake and move to the other, and I can see where there's these light breezes. Sometimes you can't feel the breezes, but you can see the ripples, or then they'll go this way, or then they'll go that way, and I can tell something's going on, but I can't see it until I can see the water ripple. Another one is the audible sound in a room can change. I do a lot of my morning work in coffee shops because I live by myself, and it's a chance to get out and sort of be around other people and be social, right? I've done this since I was 16 years old. I love working in coffee shops. Also because there's this constant whirling of the espresso machine and the voices, and then something will happen and the voices will they'll go down, or they'll get silent, or they'll get really loud. And, it's kind of like something just changed in this room. So I was out to eat in a restaurant. This is ski season, right? And, having dinner, and there's this nice audible buzz. It's a place that has an open dining room, and it's very popular. And then there's this hush and this quiet. And it was kind of like, having a conversation and then going like, wait a minute, something just shifted. And watching some celebrity walk in and seeing the crowd sort of like, oh, recognition, talking a lot about it. And you can feel the ripples in the room. And that makes sense. That's something that's audible that I can see. And it sort of takes place in an environment that I can feel in my body. So what it looks like when there's adverse effects to frequency changes. In other words, what are we experiencing right now, right? Because, and I'll go through some of the dates in just a minute, but some of the adverse effects, and this is what happened to me, is that right here on both sides of my third eye, my sinuses just started throbbing. They were in an inflamed state. I could still breathe. I just had a headache. So headaches, pressure, sinuses, somewhere around your third eye. The headaches can be massive right now. Ears ringing constantly. It's not tinnitus, or, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the ear ringing is so intense right now. Think about it as being something else other than tinnitus, right? Aches and pains, my back hurts, my neck hurts, my shoulder hurts. And then as soon as I start to figure out, well, I wonder what I did, it's gone, and then my left knee hurts. So there's these odd pains that are parts of our system that are just acting up and talking to us. Waves of unsteadiness, like a little bit of dizziness, or, thinking about something and feeling this wave go over you, where it might make you worry, it might make you angry, it might bring up some fears like, what the heck's going on? Digestive issues or in your bowels, either really constricted, constipated bowels or really loose bowels, digestion that is not liking the foods you're eating right now. Heart palpitations. This is my favorite. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and your heart's going, and it's like all over the place and you can feel it in your chest and you're thinking, am I having a heart attack? What's going on? And, this is quite common at this point because a lot of friends of mine are going to the ER. They're working with their doctors. They're spending thousands of dollars on scans and they're not finding anything. What it is, I think, is that the heart is recalibrating and it does these weird things every once in a while. And so everything that's weird that's happening can be part of these symptoms of something bigger going on. Let's see. The inability to go to sleep or the inability to stay asleep at night. So it could be insomnia. It could be absolutely tossing and turning, body pain while you're trying to sleep. Sleep has been a huge issue, vivid dreams, and things that are going on. So when these are going on, when stuff like this is happening, it's really important to identify for yourself, what is this really? And so I made this graph that I was awakened at about 3 a.m. and said, get a piece of paper, let's write down this graph. Now, I'm going to make a nice little Canva thing on it. But for right now, you can sort of see that if this is the human experience, that we have one extreme all the way over to the other extreme, okay? So, one of the first things is that, I can lead. I can feel this frequency shift. I'm in my mastery. I know that this isn't personal. I'm adjusting and monitoring, and I've got this. The second notch up is that I'm learning that there's something happening, and I'm open to what that might be. So it's where the curiosity and the observation skills start to take off, right? The next one is that I notice something's going on and I'm fumbling with it. I'm adjusting and sort of accommodating my life as I'm going along, but I'm not doing it. It's pretty ugly. I'm not doing it well, but I'm catching it, right? The next one is when I'm missing cues. Things are going tap, tap, tap in me all the time. My head hurts, my body hurts at certain times at night, and I'm absent. Like I'm not even paying attention. And then the next one is that I'm even blocked to it. Don't care, don't want to know. I'm unconscious about it. And when I'm unconscious about it, no matter what happens, I just do things like take a lot of aspirin or drink a lot of alcohol or smoke a lot of weed or do something to make this aggravation feel better, right? So there's blocked and unconsciousness. And then the last one down here is in denial, like, nope, nothing like that's going on with me. I think that those in denial are actually the most detrimental because what happens is the external world hits them. They don't want to have anything to do with it, but they pass it on to those around them. So it ends up being something that can trigger anger, abuse, agitation in the house, things like that. So when we're in that denial phase, it's just a complete shutdown. So the reason I'm showing you this chart is that I think it's really, really important for you to know where you are on this, and then also where's your partner. What happens when you're in a relationship, co-living with somebody else, marriage, love, partnership, whatever we want to call it, right? Or when we're parenting, when there are children involved, and we're noticing that they're acting very odd. They're really, really short-tempered. They don't look like they're happy. What's going on? Or when we're still living at home and it's our parents. Or we notice that our animals are acting out and something's going on. Or in a small community like Whitefish, Montana, that the collective, the community is responding to something. So when there's these prolonged frequencies, there's this low-level frequency shift that's required, and there's also adverse effects that come with it, right? So let's go through what I've put together so far, is that since January 2nd, we've had some astrological things that have been intense, some very direct. Go and look at the astrology. You can find out between the 2nd and now the 16th. There's been some really powerful issues going on. So that's one. Number two is that since January 2nd, there's been also an enormous amount of solar flares and CMEs, like off the charts, shutting the measurement systems down. The kind that we're feeling because the sun is, I've got to get a tissue, because the sun is spewing these huge flares at us, and it is affecting our energetic system. Number two, also, since the beginning, I think it was January 5th was the date that I read on 2 different sources that 5G went online globally. And any time that you have a energetic system, a new satellite, something, what you can go through and look at historically when the world goes into a higher or different level of frequency, that everyone starts showing flu symptoms. Now, let's go to the much more fun thing for me is that there are these orbs that are all over the continent, and they just went online, and they're ships that have hieroglyphics in them, and they're pulsing a higher frequency, which if we have 5 to 10 of those on the planet pulsing a higher frequency, it's like, what's going on with my body, right? And our collective is responding. So it could be effect of cellular, it could be effect of intergalactic, it could be astrological, it could be just global collective fear. What we know is that the frequencies change. And when we believe that this is external, like, this is coming from outside, what happens is we go into the victim and we go into shame and blame, and then we also react to other people around us. So it's like, you're making my head hurt, stop it. And so, we're at this choice point. We're at a really important choice point where we need to decide, am I going to be in continual reaction to something that's changing and it doesn't look like it's going to stop for a while? And how do I get out of the victim mentality that something out there is causing me pain and go, how do I deal with this? This is my choice. So one of the things that I do is I always work with the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann measurements measures the Earth's heartbeat. So it's going to hang out. And what we know is that the 432 hertz is a nice, balanced hertz. And when you look at the Schumann, it's been jumping up past the theta states into higher frequencies, constantly pushing us into something higher than what we're used to, which means that this discrepancy here is going to cause some physical side effects. We also know that when we can get to the 432 hertz, that our blood pressure, our heart rate, our nervous system, our digestion, and our pain relief is in a much more tolerable place. So what we know is that the Earth is notching us up, and it's really, really hard for us to not take it personally and to manage it. Some of the adverse long-term effects when we're out of sync with the frequencies is that we run ourselves down with fatigue from insomnia. We overwhelm and get depressed and develop anxiety, which can show up as disease in our body. And so it affects our immune system. It can cause cancers to grow in places where we don't want them to. So managing these frequency shifts is our greatest role at this time. So I have 5 tips for you. First, build awareness of how you're partnering or reacting to these frequencies around you. Catch, when are my ears ringing? Ooh, yeah, they're ringing really loud right now. Pause and check and adjust. Remove yourself from the situation or go, right now when my ears are ringing this much, it's not really fun to sit and have a conversation with you because I'm not really present. So we change whatever it is we have to do and we say, I'm experiencing something, right? Number 2, use your tools. Create a list of tools that helps for specific frequency things that you're experiencing, and then use them, right, to realign so that you're not feeling activated or agitated. So tools might include a breathing system. Tools might include listening to some sort of 532 hertz meditation. It might be just listening to music. The best thing that I know how to do is to go out in nature, because nature is going to help me adjust my system. My body, my cells will respond to the way nature is doing this. To do some grounding exercises, to dance. Sometimes I'll even just sway, which will let me know that I'm working in sync with what's going on in my body. Number 3, what relaxes you? What brings you comfort? Do these and acknowledge and empower yourself that you're feeling calmer. So for instance, if you do turn on some very beautiful, calm music and you notice that your body's calming down, right? That your nervous system is not as activated and the ears ringing isn't quite as loud, empower yourself, acknowledge it and go, you know what, Denise? Did a great job. I did a great job of finding something else that's more soothing for me, okay? Because this frees us from reaction. Number 4, create new normals. This isn't something that's going to hit us and then go away. We don't have to just grit our teeth and wait for it. What's happening is we're notching up, and then we're notching up, and then we're notching up, because we are moving into an Aquarian age, which is a much higher frequency than Pisces. Much higher frequency than the Piscean age we've had for the last, 2,600 years. So the idea is that those structures that were built around, holding it at a certain level are all now being dismantled and disintegrating as we're moving into a higher frequency. When this happens, that means that we're going to learn differently. It means that we're going to relate to each other differently. It means that we want to work differently. It means that every part of our life is starting to shift. And so when we become that new normal, that internal master, and we stand in our sovereignty, then our frequencies are going to support us, right? And number 5, think about it this way. I saw this randomly go across on one of my social media screens, which is like the Darwin theory of survival of the fittest. We've often assumed that survival of the fittest might be associated with muscle and brawn and long teeth and things that predators that can take care of themselves. I'm not discounting that. I'm also saying that what if the fittest is also about responsiveness, receptivity, adaptability, creativity? That when we can notice that the frequencies are going up and we find something that works for us and we adapt and we respond to it and we change, then we're in the feminine energy, not pushing and fighting against it. What we're actually doing is we're partnering with it. So, there's this scripture verse that says that the meek shall inherit the earth. And sometimes I wonder, what if the meek have been discounted for hundreds of thousands of years? Those sensitives, those intuitives, those empaths who know how to work right now with frequency. And you're going to see this in your children. You're going to recognize this in yourself, that this isn't meek. This is the most powerful tool. It's just a tool we haven't had a lot of recognition for. So our ability to respond, our ability to adapt, our ability to take care of ourselves while we're notching through these frequency shifts is going to be the most important thing we do. So before I bring this to a close, I want to thank you for watching. Subscribe and join and do whatever you need to do so that we can do more of these. And then on Wednesday the 19th, I'm doing a 11-month, once a month series with Lisa Gunshore on the indigo frequency. What was that signature that came in mass in 1977, but really from about 1955 with the Scouts all the way to 1989, 1990 was when the big push. And let's talk about that. So come join me. You'll see some promotions for that on these different sites as well. It's full moon tomorrow. Have a wonderful time putting some new energy out there. And when it gets a little crazy, reach out, talk to each other, drop me a note. I'd love to help. You take care. Bye-bye.